Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a foundation review for you. It is the new Revlon Youth Effects Fill and Blur Foundation. It has an SPF of 20 and I am reviewing the color 210 Sand Beige. I actually did not even know this foundation was coming out. I spotted it at my local CVS a couple days ago and it definitely intrigued me because I am someone who is of a mature skin, so anything that says that will make my skin more youthful is something that speaks to me. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts and opinions on this new foundation, then please keep on watching. So even though I don't typically do first impression videos, if you've been with me for a while, you have heard my reasoning for that. It's because I feel like you need to use a foundation for a couple days before you can really give a full assessment of a foundation or any product really, because sometimes you can have a good day with it, sometimes you can have a bad day with it. I like to see if it's consistently good results or consistently bad results. So I did film a sort of first impressions demo of me applying this foundation. So I'm gonna show that to you first. And then my intention that day was to come back later and kind of do an update for you. But you know, at the end of the day, I really wasn't sure how I felt about it, so I wanted to wear it a couple more days before I recorded this video. So what I'm gonna show you right now is the day that I had first tried this foundation and applied it to my skin. So here that is. So because this is my first time using this product, I am going to try one side with my fingers and then one side with my Beauty Blender, which is the way I apply, I would say 99% of my foundation. So this is, once again, this is the packaging. And I am going to put a little bit on the back of my hand first, just because I'm balancing a mirror on my lap. It's just easier to do it this way. So, of course, there were no testers, so I wasn't sure which color to get. This is the Sand Beige number 210. So, fingers on the left side. And it has like a whipped texture. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good match. Maybe a little light, I'm not sure. It has a little bit of a greasy feel to it, like really, it's like whipped, but a little oily, I have to say. The coverage is nice, but I definitely need a little more. Oh, actually I have more on my hand, so I'm just gonna take it from there. It's kind of thick feeling. Again, it's whipped, but it does feel a little thick. So far so good. I'm liking the fingertip application so far. Okay, so there you have the one side completed. Now, actually, I'm still gonna use what's left on my hand, maybe put a little bit more. Let's see if the Beauty Blender does any better. So even though my Beauty Blender is just barely wet, I do feel like it is definitely taking down the coverage a little bit. I'm not getting as good of coverage as I did with my fingers, but that's kind of typical with the Beauty Blender because you are sort of shearing it out by using it down. So I would have to say that I actually prefer the finger application. Definitely gave more coverage and I was able to really work it into the skin better. So I'm gonna put a little bit more on just with my fingers. So I would have to say the finish on this is satin. It's not completely matte. It's not dewy by any means. It is a hair sticky, like it doesn't really feel like it has set, even this side that I did first. I am gonna set it with powder just because I'm oily and I always have to set with powder. I'm gonna be using my Laura Mercier Translucent. And I would say in comparison to like my other full coverage foundations like Double Wear and Studio Fix Fluid, this is not full coverage. I would say it is a medium coverage foundation. For someone who's used to wearing a sheer foundation, you might consider this full coverage, but to me, who is a real full coverage girl, this is definitely more medium to me. So as I said, I'm gonna set it with some powder, carry on throughout my day, finish up my makeup, and then I will check back in with you guys at the end of the day and tell you how it held up. So as you heard in that piece of footage, I actually kind of felt like the foundation was a little greasy feeling when I applied it. It felt a little bit sticky on the skin, like it wasn't drying. And that's actually how I felt every single day I tried it. I did try one more application method, which was with a brush. That one was okay, but I would still definitely say that my preferred application is with my fingers over the Beauty Blender, over the brush, like I just said. So let me talk to you a little bit more about the product, like the price, and just get that stuff out of the way. This was $16.99 at my CVS, so it actually is pretty pricey for a drugstore foundation. Drugstore foundations are really getting up there in price. And the packaging is a squeeze tube, as you saw. It's 1 ounce, which is typical. And the packaging is very, you know, not unimpressive, I'm not sure what the word is. I think it's unimpressive. It's unimpressive packaging, but it's great, like, you know, for travel. And if you're someone who really likes a pretty foundation bottle, this is clearly not it. So at the CVS where I found this, there were no testers. I don't know if other stores do have testers, but I had to do what I do most of the time when I'm buying a drugstore foundation, is just take a wild guess and just look at the bottles and hope for the best. So over the summer, I do self-tan, sometimes I don't. I'm one of those people that likes to go a little bit darker if I'm between shades and just blend it down. I'm not one of those people who likes to get a lighter color and then bronze it up. I prefer to go a little bit darker. But I've gotten a little lazy with my self-tanning routine, and I wanted something that would match my current state. So as you saw in that demo, it was a pretty good match. I would say this 210 Sand Beige had a nice neutral undertone to it. I'll swatch it for you because I don't think I did in that demo. It's very, very neutral. It's not super pink, and it really is a good match for my skin, which in MAC terms is about an NC20. I usually mix in NC with NWs to get my perfect shade because even like the C range just doesn't work for me. So if you're someone who is between an NC20 and NC25, maybe you're like me and you mix in an NW20, this would be a good match for you. It is just, I'll show you one more time, a great neutral shade. Not too yellow, not too pink. So in the 3 days that I used this foundation, I pretty much got consistent results. The pros were consistent and the cons were consistent. The pros were that this foundation actually got a little bit better throughout the day. It didn't oxidize at all, it didn't darken, it didn't turn orange. When I first applied it, I just didn't get that flawless look, even though it might appear that way on camera. To me, I'm used to a full coverage, flawless type of finish. And throughout the day when I would look, I definitely felt like it was looking better. It was emphasizing less of the texture, which is very, very strange. I've never had that happen with any other foundation. The con was that it still felt very, very greasy on my skin. I just didn't like the feel of this on my skin. And the foundation had completely disappeared from my nose. While it looked great everywhere else, on my nose, it just would not stick. And I have had that issue with pretty much, now that I think about it, almost every foundation that has this type of whipped consistency. Also any foundation that is kind of like a liquid to powder. Those just have a tendency to not stay on my nose especially. Usually it's through my entire T-zone, but for this, it was just my nose. The foundation would not stick on my nose. It made my pores look very, very large. I'm just gonna have to say this was a fail for me. I actually might even return it if I can, because I am just not a fan of it. I don't think that it filled in anything, that it blurred anything. It didn't make my skin look amazing. It didn't hold up, as I said, in areas that I really want it to hold up. The nose is a pretty prominent part of your face, and if the foundation is missing from there, it looks a little weird. So even though I did set it with a powder, it just, yeah, it's just not for me. And I think that, again, somebody with a drier skin, you might want to give it a go, but once again, for a $17 drugstore foundation, that's not even giving you really any like luxury packaging or anything, I would say this is a pass. It's a pass for me, and you know, I will never tell anybody absolutely don't try something, because if you are like me, a true makeup junkie, you want to try it and see for yourself. But hopefully, if you're watching this and you're kind of on the fence about it, I would say there are other foundations much better at the drugstore than this one. So that's it. I do hope you enjoyed this review and found it helpful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and give the video a thumbs up if you did like it. You can also check me out on other social media, which is Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. All of those are Risa Does Makeup. Once again, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.